Hello and welcome to this video tutorial where I'll be showing you how you can import in a tracked match move camera from a software like Blender into Unreal. And then we can use Unreal's new and powerful Composure to do chroma keying. So what is the application for this method here? Well, you can do something like this. You can shoot a live object, okay, be it an actor or in this case here, a toy car and a figurine against a green screen. Okay, I shot this on a table and I managed to key out the green and then match it with the Unreal environment. So I'll show you how it is done. Now, first I will jump over to Blender. So this is the tracked file that I have. Okay, as you can see over here, I shot this with my iPhone and then I've tracked it. I got a very good track, low track error, and then I've done my layout. Okay, so once you've done your layout and I've done some adjustments, right, to correct the greens, I managed to mask out the greens. Then now I'll export out into FBX. Now, before you export out the FBX, for Blender's case, we have to constrain the match move to an F curve. So you need to select the camera and then constrain the match move to an F curve. And next, I want to create a square plane, which I'll be importing straight into Unreal. So that will be used more for my for finding out where the ground level is located. Now, first I'll get rid of all these planes here. Okay, I don't need this now. Okay, and then I need to create a plane, put it in the center. And then I'll scale this up. Then I'll call this plane table track, floor level. Okay, you can call it anything you want, but when you bring it into Unreal, right, the name is gonna be changed. All right, so next we're gonna export. Before we export, first we need to select the camera, then go over to the constraints and make sure the camera constraint has been converted into an F curve. So in this case, we've already done that. You can see the number of keys on the timeline here. So we already converted it into an F curve. So to verify, you can go over to the animation here and then change it to display in the graph. So the camera is now selected. So now it is no longer constrained by the match move results. Then we can now export this into Unreal. So I'm going to export to FBX. Okay, I previously exported it out before. So these are my settings. I'm exporting the camera and then plus the mesh. So you can hold down the shift to export only the camera and then the mesh itself. And then for the animation settings, I want to turn the simplify to 0. And also I want to uncheck the bones and all the actions because we don't have that being exported. I only want to export the animation camera. And also I do not want to simplify it, so I want to make sure that the movement is exact. So now I export this. I'll call this export track number 3. And then I'll go and export it. So now I have my file exported. And also I've already rendered the sequences, okay, for this for the green screen sequence. Now we'll jump over to Unreal and then bring it into Unreal. Now I already prepared this environment, which I'm going to bring into Unreal. And normally, right, I'll try to start at the origin in the center of this environment. So the origin is around here, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so position your camera here. So that's where we're going to bring in our camera and bring in all the other exported items. So the first thing I want to do is I'll go over and import in the FBX first. I'll import in that FBX containing that plane. So right mouse click over the asset folder and then we're going to import the current folder, and we're going to navigate to the folder containing the FBX that we have just exported. And the item that we're going to import in first is that static mesh. Okay, so just limit it to static mesh. So force everything to static mesh, and everything else we can leave as it is, and then just import. We should only end up with a single mesh item. Okay, so which is this plane over here. All right, so we can ignore these issues, ignore the error. So track floor level. So I will just grab this and then I will put it in the center here. And in the properties, the details, right, I'm going to reset the location to 000 just by clicking on this. So now we know the exact location of this floor level here. All right, so I can scale this down. Okay, press R and then I'll scale this down. Okay, so now roughly I know that this is the ground level that I have. So for all the other items, right, I don't really need this. I don't need the cube. Okay, the material, I'll just delete this away. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we want to open up the Composure window. So if your Composure window is not open, let me close mine over here first. You go over to Windows under virtual production, and then turn on Composure. And then you can drag the Composure window and then put it on the side here. Okay. So once you've done that, go ahead and click on place a composite actor. Okay, we'll place this over there for now. Next thing is we want to create our own camera. So go over to the cinematics over here, and then we're gonna drag and drop our own camera here into the scene here. Okay, so now we have our camera created. Okay, so I'm gonna move the camera. So this is my camera over here. I'm gonna rename my camera. Press. Okay, I'm gonna right mouse click on it, and I'm gonna rename this. I'm gonna call it the tracked camera. Okay, so now select the camera, and then now we're looking through it. We're gonna move my camera right to position it until it is looking down at the plane. All right, so I'm just gonna move the camera roughly looking down at the plane here. Okay, just as a starting point. All right, next thing we want to do is go over the Composure, and basically we want to project something onto this plane over here. So if we go over to the plate layer, the default is this color bars. Okay, but we need to attach the, or rather we need to tell Unreal that we are going to be projecting something onto this plane surface over here. So we're gonna click on Add Level Actor to the list here. So click on this item here. So first I need to identify this item here. So let's see what's the name here. It's called Table Track 4 Level. So click on this plus here and then search for it, Table Track 4 Level. This is the one. And we should be able to see the color bars, but then if you don't see the color bars, you have to go and right mouse click on this and click on this apply unit alpha material to selected, or rather apply lit mask material to selected actors. And we should be able to see the color bars being projected onto this item here. But from our point of view, what we want to do is that we want the camera from our cameras that we have just created to be projecting that color bar onto this plane here. Okay, right now we are looking through the tracked camera. So we want to change the projection, right? Instead of its own default, we want to go over to the composite actor. And under the camera option, right now there's none being selected. We want to choose our tracked camera. So click on the drop down here and search for the tracked camera. So click on the camera component, and there you go. So now wherever I move the camera, you'll notice that the color bars, right, is being projected all the time on the flat plane. Okay, once you're able to do this, the next thing is that we want to bring in our track camera from Blender, so that our camera right now is moving according to the motion of the camera. So in order to do that, we first have to create a sequencer. Let's go ahead and create a sequencer. Click on this icon here, and then say add a level sequence. And I want to call this track sequence and save. Excuse me. Next, we're going to go to outliner. We're going to look for the track camera. We're going to drag and then drop it into our sequencer. All right, because the image sequence that I have about 500 frames, so I'm going to increase the range to about 500. And then I'm going to increase the last frame, or bring my last frame end stop to be about 500. And also the playback of my footage is actually at 25 frames per second. So I'm going to set it at 25 frames per second. So on the sequencer, I'm going to change that to 25. Okay, so now we are ready to bring in the track camera itself. All right, so to do that, first go over to the track camera. Okay, the camera that we renamed track camera. Right mouse click on it and click on import. And we're going to import the number 3, the track, the FBX that we've exported from Blender. And then we're going to click on open. And here are the settings that you need to do. All right, by default, the match by name only is checked on. And also there is this reduce keys is also checked on. Please uncheck those. Okay, and also create camera, go and uncheck it. All right, so make sure you have the same settings as I have. And then once you're done that, okay, make sure you're at frame 1 and then click on import. Right, then now you can see all the keys are being imported into the camera itself. So right now, if I were to scrub the timeline, you'll notice that now the camera is moving accordingly to the track camera that I did. All right, so you can see now we're looking through the camera. Okay, so let me just adjust the timeline so that it covers up all the keys, keyframes. And then I also want to do some adjustments to the scale of the camera. So I want to get rid of all these scaling. Right now, the camera is gigantic. So I want to get rid of this scale. So you can drag a box and select all the scale values and then delete it. All right, and then you can see the scale of the camera is ridiculously high. It's 1,775 units, which is way too big. So I need to go and select the camera. And now you can see the scale is way too big. So if you see everything in perspective, right, the camera will be very huge. Now I'm not going to show you here. I'm just going to go over here and then reset the camera value back to 111. Okay, so click on the back arrow to reset to 111. Okay, the next thing we want to do is that we want to bring in the content, bring in the image sequence that I have processed, and then project it onto that plane that we have. So in order to do that, we must first bring in the image sequence. So to do that, just right mouse click here, then search under media and image media source. All right, so we can call this the IMG SEQ. So for image sequence, then double click on it. So this will bring up the image sequence, and then this is where you can direct the files into the path here. So the sequence path, you have to click on the 3 dots here, and then navigate to the folder containing the process sequence. So in this case, right, I've recreated the sequence by blocking the markers and then making everything else green. Right, so I'll select the very first frame and click on open, and it should load into the scene here. And also I want to make sure that everything is playing back at 25 frames per second, because this was shot on my iPhone at 25 frames per second using the Blackmagic camera app. So for the frame rate override, I want to force it to be running at 25 frames per second. Okay, once that is done, then we can minimize this. Next thing we want to do is we want to create a media player. Excuse me. Create a media player, right, to play back that sequence. So right mouse click on it, go to media and choose media player, right? And then enable this video output media texture asset. This one is very important. Make sure you enable this so that we'll be able to play every single frame onto that projected plane. So click OK. So once you've done that, double click on the image player, and then you will have an option of picking the image sequence. The image sequence is right at the bottom of this entire list over here. So double click on it to load it, and we should be able to play this in the correct 25 frames per second. All right, so it give you a preview of what the footage looks like. Okay, very good. So now we want to change the composure's projection under the plate layer. So we now go to over the composure, and we want to change it to play back the texture. So we're going to grab the new media video player, and then we're going to drag and then drop it into the texture box here. And then now we should be able to see the texture being projected there. Okay, now I want to select the plane over here, and then I want to scale it up a little bit so that we can see what is being projected. And you'll notice something odd. That is, our image sequence is not playing back at all. So in order to play back the image sequence, we have to put the image sequence, right, the media player, within the sequencer itself. So we can go and click on add here in sequencer, add a media track. And under this media track, next to the media track, click on the plus sign to add the media source. Then scroll down and look for the image sequence. Okay, so where the image sequence starts is very important. So make sure you drag the start of the image sequence right to the first frame. Otherwise, you'll have a synchronization problem. But yet, you'll still see the sequence is still not playing. So why is that? Okay, there's still one more step you need to do. You need to right mouse click on the entire sequence, go over to properties, then go over to the media texture and change it, right? Click on the none here, click on the none box here, and change it to the media player window. Okay, good. So now if I scrub the timeline, you notice that, hey, now this is working. All right, if I hit the playback button, right, the image sequence is playing back in sync with the movement of the camera. So every time the camera moves a frame, right, it's projecting the correct frame at the point in time where it's being tracked and solved. Okay, but the problem right now is that you notice that the image itself looks a bit distorted. All right, so I'll move the frame up a little bit, okay, so that it's not being intercut. Okay, so you notice one issue is that the original frame, if I were to pull up the media player again, you notice that this is a 16:9 video footage, but the image, right, is being squashed. So what can you do to fix this? So we need to tell Blender that what type of camera we are using. So the camera that we shot this footage on, right, is we can treat it like a 16:9 DSLR. So go over to select the camera, and under the film back, you want to change it to 16:9 DSLR. Okay, so now the aspect ratio has been corrected, and then everything should look much better. Next thing we want to do is that we want to use the Composure's keying abilities, right, to key out the green, right? So we're going to go back to Composure. Then we're going to go over to the plate layer. Now, if you scroll down on the panel here, you can see the passes. We can click on a plus, excuse me, and then add a color keyer pass. Right, so immediately you notice that it starts to become like transparent, but we're going to scroll down until we have the keyers options. So we'll first start by keying out the green. So click on the color swatch, click on the eyedropper, and then go and sample the green. So I'm going to sample the green from the thumbnail here. And then you can see most of the green became transparent. So we can adjust the values of the brightness, right, to control how much the shadows will disappear. All right, so I think this is good enough. Then I'll click OK. Then going down to the values here, we can adjust the red weight to bring back more of the reds, okay, of the car. And maybe push the blue down a little bit. So the this cat figurine is in gold color. So now I'm gonna push down a little bit, and we can increase the dispel to get rid of the green reflections of the cat's body. All right, and then you can play with all these sliders, right, to get the best king that you can. So far, in my use experience, right, I find that the new Kia, right, is much better than the previous one. All right, so we're gonna adjust these values, right, until I'm satisfied with the transparency. Okay, maybe you want to adjust the colors again, and then see how much you can pull up from the. I think this is the best we can do for now. And now we just test to make sure that our framing, the synchronization, everything is correct. Sometimes if you're off by a single frame, right, the object will look like it's sliding. Okay, but so far so good. All right, it looks pretty locked down to the surface. Okay, there's still some area here that we might need to mask out. And if you select the floor plane, okay, that the let me just undo. If you select the floor plane that we are using to project the entire view, right, we can actually scale this and adjust the scale, right, until we get the entire projection there. But you have to be very careful not to scale it too small. Otherwise, you can see this area here is being chopped out. All right, so we can turn the plates on and off, and then just to see the results. Okay, I'm going to scale this out a little bit more. Okay, so now we can see the result going on here. And then maybe on a scale along the y-axis. Okay, so that we can get rid of the black patch over there. Okay, so right now there's a part that seems to be sliced off. Okay, this area is a bit tricky. So I will have to go and adjust the keying again, or even process the final key result, right, to get a better keying for the backdrop. Okay, that is probably in my own using Blender. Okay, but now this is nice and all, but what if you want to change the position to another location, right? So if you want to do that, you can go over to the outliner, and then basically you want to try to grab the camera and the ground level, this plane that we brought in, and then you can reposition it elsewhere. Okay, so we want to create a new actor, right? So I'll just create a new actor. Okay, and the new actor, right, should be listed over here. So I'm gonna give it a name as well. Okay, right now my F2 is being mapped to something else, so I'll go call this track actor group. So let me just filter out everything again. And then basically I want to put the camera and the floor plane, right, and then I'll just put it under the actor. Let me ungroup this first. And then this one, I put it under the, okay, so this one I have to change it to movable object. All right, then put it under the tracked actor. So now I can take the actor and then can move it to another location. Let's say I move it to this location instead. And also I can scale it up, okay, make the scale bigger or smaller, or just use rotation to change my where the rotation will start. All right, so this is a good way to change the layout. Okay, and then right now I think I need to move the actor further out. Okay, maybe to this location instead. Just grab the arrow and maybe put it over here instead. Okay, so now this floor ground level, I definitely have to scale this up because so that it will cover everything. And now we can see the whole track working nicely like this. So this is a very useful way, right, for you to film live elements and then put it inside Unreal. Okay, so it's like another budget form of virtual production. You can shoot your actors, okay, against a green screen, okay, with a handheld camera movement. Now, if it's a lockdown camera, you don't, of course, you don't need to do this. But if you are shooting with a handheld camera and then with the correct aspect ratio and also the FOV, right, being solved by the camera tracker, you can import in the track camera information and then set it up like that. So it is another form of like this one. So once you're happy with it, you can render out your sequencer and then you can get a result like this. Okay, so I hope you find this tutorial useful. Okay, and thanks for watching.